You've seen those incredible AI images, right? The ones that look like they were just conjured out of thin air from a few words. It's honestly like magic. But here's the crazy part. What if I told you it all starts with pure, chaotic static? Yeah, just noise. So let's dive in and figure out how that's even possible. So look at this. On the one hand, you've got what looks like an old TV set that's lost its signal. Just total random noise. And on the other, wow, you have these super sharp, detailed pictures. We're talking animals, cars, airplanes, all looking totally real. The big question we're tackling today is, how in the world do you get from A to B, from that chaos to this clarity, right? That's the billion-dollar question. How does a machine, an algorithm, look at that mess of static and pull out a coherent image? How does it sculpt something recognizable from what is basically nothing? Well, the answer is, it's brilliant, and honestly, a little backwards from what you might expect. To get our heads around this, we got to rewind to 2020. There was this huge, game-changing research paper that came out. It's called Denoising Diffusion Probabilistic Models. A bit of a mouthful, I know. But this paper, this wasn't just a small step forward. It basically laid the groundwork for a ton of the amazing AI image tools we're all playing with right now. Okay, so here's the secret sauce. And get this, it's totally counterintuitive. For an AI to learn how to create an image, it first has to get really, really good at destroying one. I'm serious. It has to learn how to take a perfectly good picture, methodically turn it into static, and only after it's mastered that can it learn to run the whole process backwards to make something new. All right, let's break that down. We'll start with the first part, what the paper calls the forward process. And yeah, its entire job is to take a beautiful image and just systematically destroy it. It sounds totally nuts, I know, but trust me, this is the most important part of its training. The best way to think about this is with an analogy. Picture a sculptor who's just carved this amazing statue, but instead of putting it in a museum, they put it in a glass box and start a tiny controlled sandstorm inside. They watch super carefully as each little grain of sand hits the statue, slowly covering up all the details until, poof, it's just a shapeless pile of sand. So what's actually happening under the hood is pretty straightforward. The AI takes a real picture, adds just a tiny sprinkle of digital noise, and then it does it again, and again, and again. We're talking hundreds, maybe even 1,000 times, until the original image is completely washed away and all you have left is that TV static. So the key thing to remember here is that this isn't just random destruction. It's what the paper calls a fixed procedure. The noise being added follows a very specific, predictable pattern. And the AI is watching this whole process, this controlled decay, and it's learning. It's memorizing exactly how the image falls apart, step by tiny step. Okay, so the AI has seen thousands of images get destroyed. Now it's time for the magic. It's ready to learn the opposite, what's called the reverse process. This is where we go from breaking things to, well, building them. Let's go back to our sculptor and that mound of sand. Now, their job is to look at that messy pile and figure out, okay, what was the last grain of sand that landed here? If they can predict that, they can remove it. And if they can do that over and over and over again, they can eventually uncover the original statue. And that is exactly what the AI is trained to do, predict the noise from the last step so it can remove it. So you see this beautiful symmetry, right? The forward process adds noise in a predictable way. The reverse process is just a neural network that's been trained to do the exact opposite, to predict that noise and take it away. It's this perfect back and forth that teaches the AI the deep structure of what makes an image an image. And here, this is what it looks like in practice. It's incredible. You start on the far left with just pure noise. Then the AI takes a guess, cleans up a tiny bit, and the image gets just a little less fuzzy. It does this again and again, maybe 1,000 times. And slowly, like a photograph developing in a darkroom, a clear picture just emerges from the static. It is absolutely mind-blowing to see. So you might be thinking, okay, but why was this paper the one that changed everything? I mean, diffusion models weren't brand new. The problem was older versions just weren't very good. The images were kind of blurry and messy. What this 2020 paper did was introduce a few really clever simplifications that just made the whole thing work so much better. And oh yeah, the researchers knew they had a hit on their hands. Right there in the paper's introduction, they're like, we're getting a state-of-the-art FID score of 3.17. Now, FID is just a fancy way of measuring how good and realistic an AI-generated image is.
And with FID, the lower the score, the better. It's like your score in golf. And to put that into perspective, just look at these numbers. The older models, they were getting scores of over 13. This new method, 3.17. That's not just a little better, that is a giant leap forward in quality. This wasn't just a tweak, it was a total game changer. And hey, the proof is in the pudding, right? Look at these images. The model was cranking out these super detailed and varied pictures of churches, of bedrooms, and the quality was right up there with the best of the best from that era, like the top-tier GANs. So this incredible breakthrough didn't just get published and then sit on a shelf. Oh no, it lit a fire, kicking off a full-blown revolution in AI and setting the stage for a whole new era of digital creativity. And this is the part where it all connects back to you. That core idea, the whole destroy then rebuild process, that is the fundamental engine inside the tools you've heard of and probably used. We're talking DALL-E 2, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion. All of them are built on the foundation laid by this 2020 paper. But wait, there's more. The model can do other cool tricks besides just making images from scratch. Check this out. It can create the super smooth blend between two totally different pictures. How? It basically takes both images, turns them both into noisy static, and then kind of averages them together in that staticky form before it starts the cleanup process. The result is this seamless morph. And this little trick reveals something really, really important. It shows the AI isn't just memorizing pictures it's seen before. It's not a copy-paste machine. It's actually learning the idea of things. It's building this kind of mental map. Researchers call it a latent space, where it understands concepts like hairstyle or smiling or afternoon light. It's learning the building blocks of our visual world. And that kind of brings us to the big final question, doesn't it? When an AI can create such beauty and detail from what is literally just chaos, from random noise, what does that mean for us? If a machine can learn to dream up images like this from static, what's next for art, for our own imagination, and for the very idea of creativity?